cursed. Cursed. We all go a little mad sometimes.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula.
I saw the boogeyman. I saw him outside.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new Tomb of Terrors with me, Old Man Brad. If you are new or returning to the show, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review on your favorite podcast app, or you can support the show over on Patreon, patreon.com/oldmanbrad. Make sure to follow me on social media. Just look for Old Man Brad on Blue Sky and Tomb of Terrors over on Instagram. And of course, look for Old Man Brad on Letterboxd so you can see all the watches I do. So this episode, I'm back with another new film, Bloodshine, which releases August 21st, the day this episode comes out. It will be out in select theaters and on VOD. And I have an interview with the writers, directors, cinematographer, star, all the things of the film, Emily Bennett and Justin Brooks. I'm excited for you to hear that interview. It was a great chat with them talking about this movie, which I'm going to say up front, go check it out because I really did like this one a lot. Before we dive into Bloodshine, if you are in the Cincinnati area, come out to Frightful Fridays on the third Friday of the month. The screening, the day this episode drops, we will be screening Vinegar Syndrome's first wholly produced film, Night of the Vamp Friars, on August 21st. And in September, we have two great screenings for you. On September 18th, we're going back to Fulci, and we're going to have City of the Living Dead. And then that following Tuesday on the 22nd at 7:30, this is a special screening. We're going to have House by the Cemetery, and Giovanni Frezza, who plays Bob in the film, will be in attendance for a Q&A after the film. So you definitely want to come out for that. Just watch for Frightful Fridays on the third Friday of the month and come out and watch a movie with us. All right, let's dive into Bloodshine.
Welcome. Welcome to the end and the beginning. You will leave the darkness and enter the luminous. There is no need for struggle. You are here because you were chosen. Our elect will guide you. We have seen you and deemed you worthy to be tested.
In her remote country home, a religious zealot takes a young filmmaker captive, claiming her sadistic rituals will change him into a god. This is written and directed by Emily Bennett and Justin Brooks. This stars Emily Bennett, David Carr, Brendan Sexton III, Larry Fessenden, Toby Poser, and others. And as I said before we jumped into it, I really did like this movie. You know, religious horror movies can either be really good and really pull me in and captivate me, which this did. This has some intense scenes, some gory scenes. I'll dive a little bit more into it after the interview. Or sometimes they just don't hit. I don't want to dive too much up front here. I want to dive into the interview first, and then I'll talk more about Bloodshine afterwards. So let's move into the interview with Emily Bennett and Justin Brooks, and I'll talk to you on the other side. My guest's new film, Bloodshine, hits select theaters August 21st. I am super excited to welcome in the writers, directors, and many other roles in the film, Emily Bennett and Justin Brooks. How you guys doing today?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So what inspired the story for Bloodshine?
Clara. Honestly, Justin and I had lunch one day, and as independent filmmakers, we knew I was probably going to play a role in the film. And so the conversation started with, who did I really in my bones want to play next? And I grew up in the Bible Belt. I grew up going to church. Speaking in tongues was something that happened in one of the churches I went to, all day services. And so there was always something really fascinating about that. You know, I've since kind of moved into a different part of my life and my own thoughts about faith. But I remembered being fascinated by that, and I still am. And so I wanted to honestly play a woman of deep unshakable faith in something. I didn't know what that was, but that's what I said when Justin said, "Who do you want to play?" I said, That's what I want to play. I want to play someone who knows exactly what she's doing and will stop at nothing." And so Clara was born, and we wanted to basically partner Clara with the perfect person who would torture her the most.
Yeah, and it was really we wanted to go beyond the scope of our first film. We wanted to create something grander, larger, and just with more space, really, both physically and in the story. So it was then after we really zeroed in on who our character was, it was, what is this world she lives in? Let's create this large world that we don't necessarily need to explain away throughout the film, but we wanted it to feel like there is a world beyond this movie.
You speak of kind of like the world that she's in. It's a very isolated world she lives in. She keeps to herself. She's like, very set in this way. Did you, especially you, Emily, did you find it hard kind of trying to find that side of you to kind of bring that character out?
Yes. Yeah, that was very challenging. There were parts of me that were in Clara initially, but Clara, we see her torture people. She certainly tortured me too. Kind of adhering and falling into the bones of her and really becoming her. It was difficult. It became very ritualistic, almost OCD in her control of certain things and her rituals and her mannerisms. And when things would go wrong, there was a kind of brittleness to that, which if that was broken, that was very distressing in different ways. And so, I took on, honestly, I feel like became she got into me, and I have had a hard time shaking parts of Clara since. I've taken a lot of really wonderful things from her too, but she's a character that stayed with me a little longer than almost any other character, for good and for bad. But I think that's the cost of being an actor.
It's a very enclosed kind of, like I said, enclosed space. Did you find it easier or harder being more, for the most part, a single location with these two people?
Yeah, well, our first film was literally entirely shot in an apartment. So this felt like we were traveling the world. What was, this, it was really, what was important to us is, again, like I said, we wanted to create that much larger world, but then when you did take that world away from the characters, it felt more claustrophobic and more shut away. So for us and our making the film, it truly felt like we had the world at our hands. It really was a much larger space, more space for us to move around as filmmakers. But for the character, I think, again, it was really about taking that world away from them and creating that claustrophobia with the two of them. We had rules that we would set out for the filmmaking that were, helpful for us in the visual storytelling of it all, that we would decide when we were or were not allowed to use a wide shot or give somebody space in a shot and whatnot. And we oftentimes like to, I think those are rules that we carried over from what we learned in making our first film, and the visual language of it all and how to create that space.
Yeah, and I would just, to add to that, I would say films that inspired this are Kill List, Picnic at Hanging Rock, Martyrs. I
And
Audition, certainly a huge, but all of these stories, they feel quite grand, and they slowly get more and more claustrophobic. And so we honestly, with this one, we wanted to film in large open spaces. The beauty of upstate New York is just, it's begging to be shot. So we wanted to shoot that, but take that and then isolate our characters within that, so that even in this beautiful expanse of upstate, you get the sense of this horrible claustrophobia that's happening, inside a lovely looking home, but horrors are inside.
very claustrophobic, and it kind of, not to give anything away at the end, makes things a little more grander than what we were seeing at the end. Now, for both of you, I mean, you both have multiple roles, writers, directors. Emily, you star in it, you're cinematographer, and various other roles. How do you balance all of that when making the movie? Which, by the way, the cinematography in this film, beautiful. I loved it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it really is about preparation. We had to make sure that it's almost as though we directed the film before anybody else showed up. We
Yeah.
made sure that there was no instance or no question that could come to either one of us that we weren't confident answering, knowing where the other person's head was at in that situation. So it was really about us preparing, running through all the possibilities, kind of running through and trouble solving all this stuff. And so that, like I said, when we get there and we need to lean on the other person, we're able to, knowing that they know exactly where our minds are in that instance as well. Obviously, Emily being an actor and being one of our leads, she doesn't want to be directing her scene partners. She wants to be able to be an actor and be there for her other actors.
To be fair to them.
Yeah, for sure. Because nobody wants to feel like their scene partner is judging their performance, you know? So
No, that's
those
fair.
are the times that I would take all the preparation that we did together, and I'd be able to come in and help shape scenes and help work with them. And then when I was working with my lighting department, my camera department, like I was busy building out the physical scene. Emily, I mean, every department head would come to Emily in the makeup chair and be like, "Hey, should we do this? What should we do?" And she would be able to answer all those questions then. And knowing that we had done the prep, we knew those answers, we had the alignment that we had.
And the rules of cinematography too, we established those rules. Certainly we shot listed and storyboarded quite a lot as well. But the rules that we set, like we've talked about, claustrophobia is very huge, especially for the role of Brighton, and for the role of Clara. And so when we had Brighton on location where we are most of the time, we wanted that cinematography to reflect his sense of claustrophobia and when he earns more room in the frame. And so once we establish those rules, which are based on story beats, story is always dictating cinematography. Once we establish those rules, it was easier for Justin to kind of jazz. You know what I mean? If we couldn't have a meeting, if we didn't have time on the day to have like a quick meeting, we both understood like, actually, this acting choice is lending itself to a different frame right now. And I understood that he would understand with a look, you know? So
a foundation is so important. And I mean,
yeah.
as much as, you know, the creation of this film, I say, you know, as independent filmmakers, we get to be so self-indulgent because there's nobody over, you know, there's no studio over us being like, make it this way. So as much as Emily got to play the character she always wanted to play, I got to shoot the film I always wanted to shoot. Like we were in absolute command over that frame. I got to do things with the shooting of this film that I've wanted to create for many years. And really I felt it was just this absolute self-indulgence in our art and in our creativity. It was just a blast. And thank you so much. I love the work that we both did on this film. I think it's some of our best work for sure.
I mean, it looks great. There are many scenes, just the lighting and the way you framed it, I was like, that looks stunning.
Oh, thank you so much.
For you, Emily, you and David, who plays Brighton, how did you, and you know, Justin directing these scenes, tapping into emotions such as the fear and the panic between those two?
David is a dream to work with. I've watched his work for many years and so many independent films. I knew of him, and he's not like a name, but he should be, frankly. I think David is just a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, creating the panic. Honestly, he's a working actor. Like he shows up, he's he's not fussy. He's like, what do you need? And basically he's very fast to change. So honestly, a lot of conversations with him before we started shooting, that's where a lot of the work came from. Understanding, he's playing a very different character than Clara. He is very, in a way, secular. He's based in New York City. His life is very relatable. His film posters for this series that he's been directing are on the wall. Like, we're horror filmmakers. We have posters of our stuff. And every other film, you've got posters up. Like, we're in that world. We're in Brighton's world, right? And so just really establishing him in the world that we exist in, which is independent film, and constantly trying to get a film made. It's a very kind of secular world in a way, because you're constantly dealing with real people, real things, real issues, money, and trying to tell a story. And so taking that away from him, that was the fun part, because that world goes away. And so when you take away the structure that David has built so beautifully, that's when the panic sets in, and we take away any ability for him to have any control. And honestly, his panic and those reactions came pretty organically.
Yeah, I think it really is, when you cast a film, you need to find actors that really understand how to pivot, because everybody shows up with a plan, right? Everybody's got their plan, his plan, her plan. Everybody comes in with what they created before. And where the real work is how can you take that plan apart and pivot and work with your characters so that you're no longer acting at someone, but you're in a scene with them. And that's what I think Emily and David did so beautifully, as far as like, I get to sit and watch behind a monitor as these two people just played jazz with one another the entire time. And that's when things start to become real, is when people are reacting to one another and actually giving that work over to one another and able to play. Like, that is...
And no rehearsal.
Yeah, it really is just, it's such a pleasure to be the first audience member of that scene work and see the movement that goes on. We often talk about it as dancing. It's always reacting to the other's movement. And both Emily and David are so incredibly good at that. It's so fun to watch the two of them just, create that tension together.
Being full independent film, you have a couple that are known in the indie horror world. Larry Fessenden and Toby Poser have some small roles in the movie. How was it bringing them in? Did you know them beforehand, I guess I should say, or did you reach out and say, hey?
We knew them before. I mean, I've acted with Toby before in film. She played my mother in a brilliant short film called The Thaw, beautiful black and white period piece, very horrific. Sean Temple and Sarah Weisner, great directors. But Toby and I, we've known each other for years. Toby's been she's such a prolific filmmaker and such a giving actor. So we knew we wanted to bring her in. And Larry Fessenden, I mean, come on, like, he's the godfather of independent horror cinema. I love Larry. He's just so approachable and nice. I've worked with him quite a lot since Bloodshine. I wrote and directed Tales from Beyond the Pale, his podcast series. And I'm an actor in a bunch of Glass Eye projects. I'm in his new film Trauma for like a half second. But Larry, I mean, he's just so supportive of independent film. And we brought this role to him and said, basically, we just want you to play yourself because we all worship you anyway. And he was just like, cool, sounds good.
Yeah, and it was fun for us, being that the nature of the characters that we're working with, to bring on other directors, other filmmakers into these parts. It was such a fun little theme that we ran with. Toby being such a brilliant director in her work, and Larry, of course, having this amazing breadth of work behind him. David has also been directing,
really good director,
and working on. So it was really fun to let's just filmmaker party at our house, So it was a blast. Yeah.
While filming this, were there any filming days or scenes or anything that you you felt were more challenging than others? And
Oh
then
my God.
on the other side, any that like surprised you of like, oh, this turned out so much different than I thought for the better, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's independent film, so every day is a challenge.
Fair.
So there were plenty of challenges. I will say it was an embarrassment of riches when it came to our crew on this. We had some of the most talented, able crew members on this, and they made what could have been a tremendously difficult shoot just feel way too easy. And they did an amazing job. Every one of our department heads are the best at their job. They're top notch, So our producers, our crew, everybody served this film so much. Now, so I could go on and on about like what was difficult. Yeah, every day had something thrown at us, but that's the fun of independent film. It's an extreme sport, It's like, will it work? I don't know, So you figure it out on the day. As far as stuff that stood out, there's a scene that I think a lot of people will walk away talking about because it's a pretty wild scene that happens in a basement during this film. There's some really wild stuff that goes on. I can say that the filming of that scene could not have been more different than the watching of that scene.
It was a hilarious day.
It was the goofiest day
Hilarious.
and a day that was spent laughing our asses off, covered in sticky fake blood and, shut away in this grim, dark basement. But it will stand out as being one of the most hilarious moments of my shooting career for sure.
Yeah, I will say that scene in particular, I believe that's scene 80, because 80 was just in my brain looking at the day, our AD, Kevin Murphy, who's also a producer on the film now, he was incredible. He kept us in line, but I remember looking at that schedule and being like, 80's coming. Oh my God, we're going to like get to the basement. Oh, okay, here we go. And honestly, like by the time we got there, it had built up in all of our minds so much because there's so many physical prosthetics, there's so much blood and dust, and you can't stand up in that basement. So it was a really like low day for all of us. And we were all just dreading it. And by the time we got there, horror sets are my favorite because the stakes are so high all the time that when you say cut, it's just such a part, it's just so fun because you have to like let out like what we're doing. Once you call cut, you're like, this is insane what we're doing. So honestly, that became like a really fun and hilarious day on set. Yeah, what we thought was going to be really difficult turned out to just be a dream.
The goofiest day.
Yeah, and like the most random things turned out to be really difficult. Like camera equipment like a gimbal wouldn't balance one day, and so like the easiest shoot had to get pushed a little bit. A truck that shows up in the film, we didn't know this, but our crew member like got it stuck in the mud, and we were not aware of this, and so that ended up being like a big thing that they had to work out. And the truck was all muddy when it got back to set. And the crew was like freaking out, trying not to tell us that the truck was stuck in the mud and they had to get it out. And by the time the truck showed up covered in mud, we were like, oh, thank you. We needed a really muddy truck. This is great. And so it turned out to be like a really happy accident.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the hard things are never what end up being the hardest for some reason.
Now that you have it done this Friday on the 21st, it's getting released into the world. What do you hope that audiences kind of get from the movie?
I hope they can take in the very dark love story that it is, the sacred and profane love story that unfolds in this very dark story. And I hope we turn them on, and I hope that makes them very uncomfortable.
I hope that they see a film that they can go back and rewatch and find other little things they didn't see before. Like I love creating film that offers multiple viewings and offers something new every time you watch it. And I hope that they're able to find something that's fun to go back to, and every time you watch it, you see one little thing that you didn't notice before. I think we wanted to create a bit of a roller coaster ride with this one, and I can tell you that was what filming it was like. So I hope that's what people take away while they watch.
Here's the one that stumps a lot of people when I ask it. If you could describe your movie in one word, what would it be?
Oh wow! Oh my God!
I would say transcendent.
My God! I don't know. I'll go with thrilling.
Whenever I pull that one out, it always stumps people.
That's a good one. Yeah.
For me, I would say transcendent because it is about transcending pain, and we give a lot of pain in this film, but it's about the sublime that you find at the end of it, like the end of Martyrs.
Transcendent is good. It's also about transcending self, and
Yeah.
transcendent's a good one.
I want to thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me, and I'm going to tell everybody, go check out Bloodshine. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice, dark film. Let's just say that. I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, thank you.
Where can people kind of follow along to either what you have next or, what's on with Bloodshine? I know Dark Sky Films. We'll tell them to follow them.
Yeah, for sure. Dark Sky for all things Bloodshine. And then you can find me across socials at J Brooks Film.
And I'm at Emily R. Bennett, 2 N's, 2 T's. I run our Instagram for Bloodshine Film, I believe it is. So updates are there. And next projects, I'll be solo directing. I'm attached to solo direct a couple of features, so those are lining up right now. So yeah, and then Justin will shoot those, of course. And yeah, we have a lot more stories to tell.
Yeah, we both have a lot of stuff in the works right now. So
well, hopefully we can get you back on the show and whenever the next projects come.
Yeah,
we'd love it.
Thank you so much, and best of luck with Bloodshine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank Emily and Justin so much for chatting with me. It was such a great conversation. I wish them all the best with this film and really look forward to seeing what they have coming next. Their previous film, Alone with You, if you haven't seen it, it is also a very, very good film. A lot more kind of confined than this one, but I really dug Alone with You quite a bit. Getting to see this one, I was pretty excited to see kind of what they had next. I mean, I said in the interview, and absolutely mean it, the cinematography in this movie is great. There are many scenes, just the lighting, the camera setup, the way everything just flows, it works, it just looks fantastic. And Emily Bennett, you can tell that she hit a dark place in this. There's a multitude of range. I mean, you have this woman who is very, very deeply into this religious piece that she's a part of, that Larry Fesenton, like, she watches these videos of him. He's like the religious leader, and she takes it to heart. And it's like, this is the word. This is how I have to live so that I can move to the next level and become that next thing. And just like their previous film, I mean, this movie deals a lot with, there's a lot of isolation, loneliness. You have the religious aspect of this as she captures this man. There's a lot of torture in it. And he's trying, he's in this big piece of his life. Like, he's this big director, and it all just gets stripped away. He doesn't know what to do, how to deal with this situation, how to get out of this. And just this kind of battle almost that they have back and forth leading up to this ending that I loved how it kind of twisted into the end that we got. I'm not even gonna hint at what happens in the end because I liked how everything kind of came around on this and felt like it was a very strong movie to begin with, and the ending just helped it out. But I will say Bloodshine is one, if you don't get a chance to see it in the theater, go rent it. This is definitely worth checking out. If you're a fan of like folk horror, religious horror, things like that, I think you'll really dig it. And if you do see it, let me know what you thought of it. Did it kind of hit the same way for you as it did for me? Because there were just so many elements in this that just worked. But those are my thoughts on Bloodshine. And if you get a chance, like, honestly, watch Alone with You, their previous film. It is streaming on Tubi right now. I really, really enjoyed that one as well. As I do in every episode, I do a double feature for the movie I'm talking about. And this one, it was an instant, ooh, I know what movie I would double feature this with. It's another religious horror, really kind of a slow burn psychological side of it. Then this one has that psychological slow burn piece, but it has a bit more of there's torture, there's manipulation, and other pieces to it. And I would pair it with Saint Maud that came out in 2019. This is another religious horror movie. When I first heard about it, I'd never heard anything about it, and I ended up getting a copy of the Blu-ray. Absolutely loved it. Loved how that film played out. As I was trying to figure out the double feature I wanted to do, I mean, immediately this film popped in my mind, Saint Maud, starring Morfydd Clark. I think Saint Maud, Bloodshine, it is an excellent religious horror double feature, and that's my pick for this episode. Well, that will do it for this episode of Tomb of Terrors. Just make sure you subscribe to the show and you'll never miss anything over here, whether it's these interview episodes, short reviews I do, verses that I do with my wife, Tales from Tubi, or The Year of Paul Nashi. The Year of Nashi, we're coming towards the back nine, so to speak, where each month I have a new Paul Nashi movie, a new guest, and I will be doing additional reviews over on my YouTube channel. Just look for Tomb of Terrors and Patreon. But just subscribe and you'll never miss any of it. I'll be back soon with a brand new episode. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.